Welcome everybody to our Coach Mentoring webinar for 2018. And this year, the series is about all of the units of study in the ICF program. So we're going through from Unit 1 to Unit 8. And today is the Unit 5 that we're focusing on. If you haven't had a chance to look at the others, please go to the members site, the bonus resources section, and you'll be able to see Units 1 to 4. So the aim of this series is to help you to get through your units of study, but also then, as Lisa will attest to actually help you to coach around the concepts that are in that unit, those units of study. You have an unmute button and an unmute button, so if you have something happening in the background, you can unmute yourself, but please feel free to chime in at any stage and ask a question or make a comment in whatever way you feel is appropriate. Otherwise, we'll get going shortly. So, welcome everyone to this webinar. Okay, so we've got 7 people on, myself and 6 other people on. That's good. So we might just circle around as I can see you on the screen. And if you just introduce yourself to everybody else, that would be a good place to get started. So, all right, Lisa, we'll start with you right at the top. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Mason. I have been doing the leadership coaching course for about 2 or 3 months now. I've just about to finish module 9, so really thoroughly enjoying it. I did attend a workshop with Suzanne and a few people a couple of weeks ago in Perth, and if you haven't done so, I'd highly recommend it. It was really good to get some practicing. About me, I was made redundant in October last year and decided I was going to retire, and 6 months later decided I didn't think that I could retire, so bit of soul searching on what to do, and I've landed on doing a bit of coaching. So yeah, very excited to be here.
You'll be starting your own business, and you've contacted a few of those people we talked about, I hope?
Yep, I have. I'm well on my way.
Excellent. That's great news. Thank you, Lisa. Dwayne, you're next on my list here.
I knew that happened as I took a swig of tea. Okay, my name's Dwayne Hennessy, obviously from Melbourne. By my accent, usually Pegged. I'm a DBA at the moment, but I'm doing professional coaching, and I'm looking at becoming an innovation coach and off with entrepreneurs within my company, if possible. And I've just been hooked in today to facilitate a hack day at work, which is kind of cool. So I get to practice some of these skills I've learned. And I've just started module 4.
Okay, great one. Good on you. So we'll see you at the Melbourne workshop in October? Yes, 31st of October to the 1st of November.
Cool. Okay, yep.
Yep, put those dates in your diary. It's all free, so you might as well come along. Great, thank you, Dwayne. Angela, you're next off the list. Yeah.
Hi everyone, Angela from frosty northern New South Wales. I'm doing the Diploma of Life Coaching. Been picking it up on and off for the last 8 weeks or so, because I'm also trying to do a certificate for in training and assessment. And I was lucky enough to land a short role doing teaching career development at the community college. So that's been consuming quite a bit of time to think you've got to fill 6 hours a day for six weeks of some great stuff. But what it's also been really good is that I've been able to practice a bit of coaching, because I've been offering the ladies that have been long-term unemployed some coaching, one-on-one coaching, sort of honing my skills, but I haven't let them know that, and sort of just practicing a style that would work, and how I can actually help guide them through particularly using the GROW to think about their career development. Some of these haven't worked for 20 odd years, so they're slightly they're not very confident. So it's been really good watching them develop and grow. So, but yeah, I'm doing the life coaching. We'll be going to the Sydney session in September, and I'm only up to Unit 3 at the moment, but setting some goals to try and forge through. So next month I'll actually be up to the unit that we're studying, I hope, but we'll see.
You'll be on track. That's great. And it's lovely to see you coaching, because, you know, once you've enrolled, you can start to log your hours.
Yeah.
according to the ICF. You started to do that?
Well, yes, I probably need to send an email just to ask how I actually log that. I've got them in a diary and that, but there's probably more information I need to actually record. So
I can give you some information right now for you and for Amy, I think.
Yeah.
I think Amy's doing the same thing. Is to use the log from the ICF. So on their website, or we can email it to you, is a special Excel spreadsheet, and that's where you log your hours and how you log your hours. And we concentrate a lot more of that on the workshop, so if you can get started on that, that would be brilliant.
Okay.
So if you can't find it on their website, just send an email into education@professionalcoachtraining.com.au and we'll send you a copy of it.
Great. Thanks for that. That's fantastic.
Good. That's the other reason for having this webinar, because you can ask all sorts of silly questions and we'll try and answer them for you. Okay. Thank you very much, Angela. Amy, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm from Melbourne, and I joined because I'm running a mentoring program for bookkeepers. So I mentor in the bookkeeping industry. I used to be a bookkeeper running a small bookkeeping business, and then somehow I sidetracked into website designs for bookkeepers. And then once I started doing website designs for bookkeepers, what I found was, as I was developing the content for their website, I realized they didn't really understand who their target market was and that kind of thing. So I've ended up mentoring them a lot and helping them to work out the content for their website. And so I really enjoyed the mentoring side of things. So I started a mentoring program with the bookkeepers. And then, I came across this course just actually over the weekend. So I enrolled, and I think I'm up to module 6.
So you're brand new,
like
aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I've just like powered through the modules. I haven't done the actual quizzes or whatever, but I think I'm up to halfway through module 6. So I just really want to get the qualification to launch my new website, new mentoring program, just to have that qualification there and formalize what I already do. And then also just to hone in on my skills. So I'm doing the diploma of business coaching, and my real underlying mission is to equip bookkeepers to be able to help small business owners in a more full way, rather than just kind of crunching the numbers, to be able to actually expand into, doing more of a business planning type session with them. But first, bookkeepers need to sort out their own businesses before they can help others. So that's what I want to help them to kind of lay that foundation, and then
so I have in that first unit, you've seen the difference between coaching and mentoring?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. So you'll hopefully be able to do both, but there is a difference in a discrete way to do the coaching.
Yeah, I do a combination of mentoring, coaching and training. So it's a blend of the three. So yeah, I thought it'd be good to formalise the coaching side, because that's something that's definitely missing in our industry. So.
Okay. So make sure you come to one of our workshops, Amy, since you're powering through it.
Yes, I will.
Sydney is in September, Melbourne in October.
Yes,
Great.
I'll be there.
Thank you. Christine, how are you?
Hi. Look, I'm just here this afternoon, but at least I got the video working, so that's all good. I feel, a little bit not so techno challenged tonight, and in such a short time. And if you keep seeing my face move, it's because I'm sitting on the lounge and sort of manoeuvring about. So sorry if that's distracting. So I started around about March, and I'm doing a leadership and professional coaching course, having studied life coaching 10 years ago. I was currently a trainer of carers of people with mental illness, and just got a redundancy last week. About 6 of us got put off. So I had applied for a new job, and I'm now starting a new job on Monday and about to move house. So I've been quite distracted. I'm a little bit behind. I was trying to keep month by month with the webinars, but I've actually slipped a bit behind. So, but I have started coaching a client, and I have a second one ready to go in about a week. And yes, Joel was very lovely. He emailed the log to me. So Amy, you can, and whoever else needs that, just ask Joel if you need it to be easier. Yeah, the guys are really, really helpful. Susan and the team, everyone's been so helpful. So yeah.
Good. Good. Well, good.
I'll be there in Brisbane in November, Suzanne. I was trying to get there for September as well, but because of my new job, I don't think that's going to be possible.
No, get into your new job, get your feet under the desk, and that'll be great. We'll see you in December, in November. Yeah, terrific.
That'll be a whole week, so that'll be really good.
Yeah, whole week to immerse yourself and do nothing else. Just think.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Angela. This is Angela Mangini.
Hi, I'm Angela from Melbourne. I'm a school teacher. I started my course in April. I'm hoping to do life coaching, sticking to my goal of 1 module a month.
Right.
So I've nearly finished module 3. I will finish it this week, fingers crossed. The reason I got into, wanting to get into coaching, what the career changed, but as part of teaching in the past, I've been in leadership roles, so middle management and a bit of mentoring and coaching. And I really love that part of the job, and I found that really good in terms of getting teams together and getting teams to be effective and focusing on common goals and conflict resolution, all that kind of thing. I really like that aspect of it too. So that's what got me into coaching. But I think I might go down the track of life coaching and maybe, I don't know, down the track leadership. So big question mark at the moment, but I'm really enjoying the course and everyone is very helpful, and I'm looking forward to doing the workshop in November. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I'll make sure you put your name down and register for that one. That's great.
Yeah.
Terrific. Now, Angela, a question. I can see all of you people. Can you see each other, or can you only see me?
I can see everybody.
Everybody. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Ian's not on
Ian,
video.
you're not showing yourself, Ian? Hello?
Okay.
Can you put your video on? You're not being shy tonight, are you?
Lisa.
Ian. Ian's been.
No, I can't see the video for some reason or other.
Yeah.
Bottom left-hand corner.
There we go.
Hey. Oh, we can see you. Excellent.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Ian, a little bit about yourself.
Ian Edwards. I have a company called Planner Life. We've been in business just in a couple of days. We start our 33rd year in business and our 3rd year in coaching. So
Wonderful. That's great. Ian's a great supporter of us, and he's attended the Brisbane workshop, and he'll be coming to September as well in Sydney.
Yep. Yes.
So we're looking at about 10 or 12 people in Sydney, which is really, really good. We've got some people who've attended Amy Novell, for example, who you would remember, Ian, from Brisbane. And then probably Sarah will come to Melbourne as well again. So the more practice you can get, the better. It's just a matter of putting time and practice into it. So thank you, everybody, for your introduction. Is there any questions or anything we want to ask or do anything before I get started on this webinar? Okay. That's one question we ask in coaching, isn't it? So we'll ask it of you. Okay, so tonight our focus is on the 5th unit of study, which is about coaching for work issues. Okay, so so it's about, imagine you've got a coaching room. You're sitting in your coaching room, and someone walks through the door, and this person has an issue relating to work. Okay, so we don't go into it the same degree that we do if you're a leadership coach or an executive coach, but you need to be able to do the basics of coaching someone about some work issues. So the first thing I want to take you through is what are the sort of issues that somebody might walk through the door and say, I've got an issue with X, Y, Z. And then we'll take that further with some scenarios down for the rest of the webinar.
I can give you a real one.
Good. We'll have a look at that one, Christine. Okay, so here are some of the reasons that we would coach an individual. A, performance at work. So either they think they're not performing well, or their manager has in some way suggested to them that they need to pick their performance up, or they want to improve somehow so that can be to their own betterment. Career progression, obviously that's for a development. So performance improvement or development in some way are usually the two most prevalent, although there are some other issues as well, which I'll talk about shortly. But certainly from a career progression point of view, you'll get a lot of people who say, look, I just want to help with getting my resume, for example, or knowing who to talk to about the next steps or what sort of training I should do, etc. Now, some of that can morph into mentoring if you've got the ability to mentor, but we just take it from a coaching professional aspect at this point in time. Leadership development is how you can coach someone to be a more inspiring and motivating leader in their community, whether that community is in the corporate sector, whether it's in the local sector. For example, they might be the president of a local chamber of commerce. It doesn't matter. It could be coaching in a sporting team, how to be more inspiring in that community in which they live and work. Obviously, it's about individual development because we all see ourselves from inside our own skin. We can't see ourselves from others' perspectives. So I'm going to talk a bit more about that tonight, about how to help people gain more insight and more awareness into themselves. And so we can look at it from other people's perspectives and they can get a comparison between how I see myself and how other people see me. And that's where the opportunity for growth comes in. The next reason for coaching is possibly around to give them feedback. So if you have a person who's thinks they're the best thing and it's all happening for them, but hey, they're not actually moving through the organisation, or they're not having friends or they're having conflict, how can we get some feedback for that person? Or how can they go and get some feedback from their manager, from their colleagues, from their family or from the community in which they work, so that they can have some external feedback on, gee, this isn't exactly how I would like to be seen. How can I then work with you as a coach and change what I'm doing? So it's about behavioural change and growth and improvement. Sometimes it's about their role. A lot of conflict perhaps about their role and what they were supposed to do, what they're asked to being done, and where is it, how does that fit with their role description, or does it or does it not? And so what are the steps they can take to actually get that role clarity, probably from their manager, so that then they can feel more in control of what they're doing, they're less stressed, and they can be better at performance at work. And of course, everything we do at work spills over to home. So how can they then be a better husband, wife, family member, brother, sister, etc. to their family, so that there's not stress related around that? Sometimes, and particularly in the interviews I've been doing with some of my PhD students, it's around the use of a specific tool. So for example, in that unit, we talked to you about DISC, LSI and CLS 360. But there are other tools that organisations use, like Hogan or a few others that Ian and I have talked about. That's a specific tool for looking at your own development as a leader, for example. But sometimes there's a tool which is like a revenue, how to get more revenue for the company, and it's a software-based tool, and that's proprietary to that organisation. So you may not get into that, but you might as a coach in the community setting, but certainly in the corporate setting you'll get into how do you use specific tools and what's the purpose of them and how do you coach around them. Meeting KPIs, your targets, obviously looking at your roles, your resume, what's expected of you, how are you going, where are you, how much are you achieving, and how can we get you to the next level. So for example, particularly if someone's kind of almost out the door and you don't really want to coach around that, but if they're just sort of not performing to their top level that they can, they're the people you want to take and motivate and encourage and hold accountable and be jointly accountable with them for the results of the coaching. Another key area is about a new roles, like emerging leaders. So they've come out of an employee role and now they're a team leader role or a supervisor role. I used to, let me say, I'm this person. I used to be a member of a team of 4 and now I'm in charge of the other 3. Now that's, quite a difficult transition sometimes for people. So that's where a coach can help get that clarity about, particularly not so much about the job, but about the relationships now, how the relationships have changed with those other team members who used to be their colleagues and now you're their boss. Mm-hmm. And the last one, of course, and there's more obviously, but it's about job satisfaction. How do we turn up to work every day and get satisfaction out of what we do, so that it's not a dull, boring, mundane existence that we have at work. It's a job that actually gives us purpose. It fuels our meaning. It fuels our values proposition. It's something that we align with because it's what we believe in. So how can you get that level of job satisfaction with people? Any questions about any of that or comments or stories before we keep on going?
No, all good.
All right. So the next part of it then is having a look at what the organisation may want. And there is pretty much a parallel across from one list to the other, not quite exact, but pretty much there. So, for example, if you come into an organisation and you're asked to fix somebody for a problem or a remediation exercise, be very careful about whether you take that exercise on board or not, that assignment, because sometimes that person is really not able to be sorted. Perhaps from number 2 point of view, the organisation sometimes is just doing it to comply with what they have to comply with to meet their IR obligations. So be very careful when you're going into assignment and you're in an organisation where you've got someone who's not quite up to par, where maybe they've tried several ways, and what they're asking you to do is simply tick the box to say that, okay, we're going to meet our IR obligations with this person. Because you don't want to be put in a position where you're seen as the person who comes in when that person's going to be fired. You get a reputation in the organisation. From an organisational point of view, the career progression of an individual is about the talent management and succession planning in the organisation. The leadership development is pretty much the same, only it's how do you lead and inspire your team of people, given that they're all different people. There might be a team of 10, there may be a team of 50, there may be a team of 25 spread across the country. My niece is working for the ATO and she's has, I think, 20 people that's responsible to her in 6 different locations around Australia. So it's a different level of leadership at that level. And sometimes when it's an international leadership level as well, it's different. And also when you've got culturally different employees and diversity in employees, it's a different level. So on the left-hand side, that number 3, leadership development, is about the individual and how they can do better themselves. And on the other side, number 4 is about how can I be a better leader and inspiring leader to my team, given the diversity of the team and the potential locations of the team. The 5th is about understanding responsibility. So it equates to the role clarity of number 6. It's about, okay, I've got responsibilities as a leader, as a manager, as an employee to the organisation. What are they and how am I meeting my obligations and my accountabilities? Number 6 is about the team development. So not only about the individual development of, which one have we got there? Number 4, it's about how do I develop members of my team? How do I recognise their strengths? How do I utilise those strengths and have them moving forward so that they're all happy people, they've got job satisfaction, they find purpose and meaning in their role and in the organisation, and therefore they stay longer and we can develop them as people. Number 7 is pretty obvious. We've got to meet team targets. So number 8 is individual KPIs. Number 7 is how do we meet team targets as well. If we've got somebody in our team who's not performing, how do we help them to pick up their act? If we've got someone who's an overachiever but they're stressing themselves out, how do we tone that person down and get them onto a level, steady heel so that they can sustain for the period of their role? Number 8 is about change and initiatives, and coaching is a hugely powerful tool when you're putting change mechanisms in place. It's about how we can ask the questions about people's ability to help, to move things forward, be an advocate within the organisation, to be a role model, to send the messages forward. And it's all about coaching those people as to how they can better influence that change agenda without getting into that command and control stuff. How do you do it better and softer with the people in mind? And of course, the outcome we want is higher employee engagement. Not only do we want job satisfaction with everyone, but we want them to be engaged more with the organisation, feeling that they are proud to be a member of the organisation. They're proud to wear the T-shirt. They're proud to turn up to sponsorship events. They're proud to tell their friends and family that they're associated with the organisation, and they're fully engaged and motivated. And the last one, of course, is retaining those people as their talent mechanism as they move forward, so that everything you've done to train them and inculcate them into the organisational values and align them with what you're trying to do as an organisation is not lost. it's not taken to the opposition, because that's very valuable advice and very valuable training that you've provided them with. And how do you keep that knowledge and that expertise in the organisation rather than having it going to the opposition? And there's some stories around intellectual property, for example, where there was one lady who was in a software company and developed intellectual property there, and then decided to go to the opposition and took that software program with her. And even though the first organisation fought it and couldn't fight it because it was her initial intellectual input that actually made the program what it was. So there's all those sort of issues that you can come to within the role of coaching, because it really is like a meta profession. It comes across lots of areas, and there's no one solution, obviously, as we know. It's about how you utilise your coaching skills, which we'll get into next month, to ask, to listen, to summarise, to then help the client gain that insight that is within them. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I just want to start. I don't know if anyone else is noticing, but your volume seems to be fluctuating, and there's like a static sound that comes on every few seconds and goes off. So I don't know where that's coming from.
No, I don't know either, Christine. Sorry.
No, we could still hear you, Suzanne. It was just that you faded a little bit there a couple of times. I wasn't sure that it was me or the other end. You're never quite sure. But if Christine's hearing it too, it might be your end. But, yeah, we can still hear you. Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to pause the screen for a minute and I'll see if I can locate some problem here. Okay, let me go back to screen now. All right. Okay, let me see how that is. Is that any better that way?
Yeah, your volume's better now, yep.
Yes, yeah, you do seem clearer. Yeah.
Thank you very much for letting me know. Terrific.
I did
Sometimes
have
it can help when everyone else mutes their
I
sound. It
did
could be
have a
coming
question
from
if,
someone
if
else's
that's all right.
microphone as well.
Yeah. Lisa, go ahead. Was it your question, Lisa?
That was Angela, I think. Yeah.
Angela. Okay. Go ahead, Angela.
It was just interesting around Achieve the Change initiatives. I know in our organisation we seem to put on a lot of change managers to drive change. I always think in my next life I want to come back as a change manager. But yeah, I sort of and I don't know that they've actually ever looked at it as coaching. That I think they sort of develop the comms and put the flyers all around the place and things. So it was interesting that you sort of have noted that. And I agree with you that change is coaching is important through change, but it's probably something that organisations don't do well generally.
No, they don't. They usually can get the plan out, the ICT plan out, but they forget about the people.
Yeah.
And they forget a lot about the communication. They try and do it, but sometimes they just don't know what they don't know. The other thing about change is that when you're talking about change, I'm also looking at the bigger picture for cultural change.
At what, sorry?
Cultural change. Yeah? So how an organisation creates a culture which supports innovation, development, growth, individual performance, but supports each other in doing that. Yeah? Okay. The other interesting thing I'm finding too with the research I'm doing is that in an organisation, usually the coaching is done by an external who comes in from outside. Our executive coaches, that's what they do. Potentially our leadership coaches would do that too. But there is a push within organisations to develop the internal capability, particularly of their HR staff. And so then it would be a joint effort oftentimes to begin with, at least between our executive coaches and the HR internal coaches. Right? The progression from there seems to be into developing an internal coaching team, which works with business units to develop particularly those front-facing customers and staff. For example, call centre operators, salespeople, those people who are on the phone selling insurance or whatever. And now it seems to me that that's morphing again into, okay, we've given these leaders, my internet cable connection is unstable, maybe that's a problem too. We've given these leaders some coaching skills, but we've not trained them how to be an actual coach, right? Because organisations don't figure that it's worthwhile investing in having people becoming coaches, right? Fully blown coaches, as you people are investing in yourself. However, when you look at the financials of it, it may be better for an organisation to actually develop their internals as fully blown coaches rather than hiring people from external.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything more before we keep on going? Okay. So let's look at some of the issues that they will, individuals. We're just talking individuals now who will just come to you as a coach one-on-one. These are some of the things that they might be stressing about, because if they're coming to you, usually there's something on their mind that's really of concern to them, and they're really perhaps have tried to figure it out for themselves and they can't do it. So they come to you as a sounding board, as somebody who's independent from work or even from family at times, because they're just not able to handle what's happening for them. So work overload, conflict with different people, non-cooperation, not getting the right information or timely information, too many deadlines, too late, other things like personal matters or family matters on their mind. And what your job will be is to help them to manage that situation. And I think in your second unit of study, you've got a little 2x2 matrix, which says you can avoid or alter the stressor, or you can change your reaction to it by adapting and accepting it. So there's something you can do there with stress. So if stress is the only issue they come with, that could be the whole coaching session, is how to unpack that stress for them and how to help them manage that stress. Okay? The next part may be about interpersonal relationships. And we all know that the basis of coaching is developing trust and also developing rapport with people. So if there's a person coming to you and they haven't got trust in the workplace, they don't trust their manager, they don't trust some of their colleagues, they haven't got a good relationship with them, they don't feel included, they don't feel the camaraderie there, that's all the sort of just the grist for you to help them unpack that and what's happening and why is it happening, and is it because it's a different organisation that's not aligned with your values? Is it that the diversity is too great for you, and how can they rectify that? Now, sometimes I think the figure that I was given by somebody in an organisational setting is that 30% of the people who come to be coached will leave the organisation. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the same in an individual situation, but sometimes when you're coaching an individual, particularly if there's no trust or belonging or inclusion, that person may feel that they might be better off looking for another job. So your job then is to help them to make that transition into a different place of employment or into their own business or whatever they want to do. Any questions on that?
All good.
All good. How am I going, Christine?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. The other thing they'll come to you with is conflict, and it goes hand in hand with what I've just been saying. There's a certain person perhaps who they get a rub with, that they cannot see eye to eye with, whose opinion is very strong, which then can create very strong emotions. And particularly when there's high stakes to be made, it can become very crucial. So when there's a decision to be made in a work environment, and it has to be made quickly, particularly, there's no time to think, there's no time to canvass other opinions, there's no time to collaborate with other groups. And so often in a conflictual situation like that, we can lead to attack, for example, we can fight with somebody, or we can lead to withdrawal and we can flee. And I think in Unit 2, once again, there's some avenues there for how you manage different situations, whether you compromise, whether you smooth, whether you confront, etc. There's 5 different styles there of how we manage conflict. But of course, the most effective style is to sit down and have a dialogue with that person. However, the key is to get it in a neutral zone and with a neutral, perhaps, interpreter as well to help dispel the emotions so that you can all get on the same page and we're not just conflicting and fighting from an emotional state. Because when we're in that strong emotions, we cannot get into a logical, rational, planning point of view. So we have to wait. We have to wait for the emotions to subside. And then when you've got a client like this, you can actually see that they will go further into their own stuff. Any questions on that?
Just on that one, I think it's important to, it's obviously we all know this, but it takes two people. So sometimes the other person who might be even bullying, they don't want to do dialogue. And so really it then becomes about you managing how you're going to deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bullying is a special issue, and it's a bigger issue than ever.
Yeah, but this can very easily turn into bullying, this type of thing.
Absolutely. And so that's another, I think, issue that we need to address separate from simply conflict in the workplace.
Yep.
We talked a bit about change already, and Angela, we've covered most of this, I think, but what we're looking for is to get people on board. If you look at the stats on that, if you get something like 30% of people on board with a new change or a new initiative, then you'll probably start to get the rest of the team rolling over. So what you want to do with that 30% is you want to get the people who are the initiators, the good supporters, the real live wires of the team, who will start to create that momentum and build that support. And then you know you're not alone. So you look for the people who are keen supporters. You look for those who are negative, very negative, and you look for the people who are in the middle. And then you can create strategies around each of those three groups. So the people who are supporters, you get them out there messaging, you get them out there role modeling, you get them out there documenting, you get them out there piloting. The people who are middle of the roaders, you will probably get as support personnel to those initial 30%. And the people who are laggards, you could just leave, because you'll get to probably a 97%, and then the rest of it, it just won't matter, because they'll either end up rolling over or they'll end up leaving. It's as simple as that, because that's not the right place for them to be. And for example, if you've got someone who says at the end of your coaching session, I think I'm just going to leave, it's probably better if they're a square peg in a round hole, they're not going to fit anyway. They might be better going finding a square hole to fit into, and that's where you can help them to move on to the next phase. Any questions on that? Okay, so the other thing we need to look at in an organisation is the hygiene as opposed to the motivation factors. So this one is in Unit 5. So the hygiene factors are the factors that we really need to be present in the workplace for us to stay there and to keep turning up every day to do our work and to get our paycheck. So they're things like, the quality of supervision, the policies, the physical work environment. Is there enough light, energy, electricity? Are they getting the information that they need? Do they feel like they at least belong in some way? Do they have a friend in some way? And do they feel that their job is secure? If you haven't got those hygiene factors in place, you're going to get dissatisfaction at levels between high and low, okay? And the person's probably going to walk anyway. So if you can help them, an individual, enunciate what it is for them in their workplace, and I think this is one of your assessment items as well, what are the hygiene factors in your workplace, and what are the motivator factors that will keep you there? And of course, this is where you want to coach around. You want to coach around what are their opportunities for promotion? Have they had an opportunity to sit in for a manager, for example, or to supervise a team, or to have opportunities for personal growth, go on a training program, attend a course that might be funded by their work, hopefully, whether it's a short course or whether it's a longer course, depending on their role and the level that they are in an organisation. Are they recognised for their strengths? Are they valued for the contribution that they make? What is their responsibility in the organisation? Is it to actually grow themselves? Is it to grow the team? And what's their level of achievement? And what are their strengths that you can help them build on? So those yellow-orange factors are the ones that you would talk to really get them motivated and moving forward. Sure, they have to have the hygiene factors, but you don't want to dwell on those. If you could say tick, 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 tick to the hygiene factors, that's fine, leave it alone, and move on to the motivation factors when you're working with an individual. Any questions on that? Okay, so moving again on to how do we motivate people? We're looking at the individual differences because we are not all alike. If you look at the round circle over here, we all have different areas of smartness, so different multiple intelligences. So some are smart bodily wise, some are smart intelligent wise, some are smart book wise, some are smart technology or music wise. So we each have our multiple intelligences. So it's no good saying, oh, you're no good, you don't have the ability. it depends what sort of ability you're looking for. So certainly in a creative industries, you're looking for music, you're looking for art, you're looking for creativity. But if you're an accountant, you're certainly not looking for all those sorts of things. You're looking at compliance, stable personality, etc. So just realise and ask the person when you're talking with them, what is their background, what job do they do, and sort of get a feel for, is there a match for it, or to what degree is there a match for it, and is there a higher purpose that they might be filling if they weren't doing the bread and butter stuff. Now, that's not to say that they don't need to do the bread and butter stuff, because they do. It's just how can they get more joy and fun in life for themselves, either on the weekend or after work or some other way in the community that will fill their higher order purpose for what they really want to do in life. Mm-hmm. We talked a bit about diversity and the diversity in the workforce. You'll get cultural diversity, you'll get racial diversity, you'll get gender diversity, you'll get physical diversity, you'll get mental diversity. So how do we account for that as well as a coach? Knowing that we have to, from Unit 3, knowing that we have to match people with the level that they're at, and only when we build that rapport can we then take them forward and lead them. And in Unit 3, what's your learning style, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, tactile? You will have learned in Unit 3 how to ascertain that, and if you haven't, go back and have a look at Unit 3, third of the student coach mentoring for this season, and you'll have a look there at some explanations. And the last model there is the Kolb learning framework, learning styles, and that's in your Unit 5. So what it says is that there are various ways that we learn. Some people like to go out there and have that concrete experience, really get stuck into it. Just go and do it, you know, the Nike stuff. There are others who like to sit back and reflect and observe and see how others do it, and yeah, if it works for them, maybe it'll work for me. Then there are others who are just thinkers, who like to formulate it, to think it through and do the abstract of, you know, what does that mean? Does that fill me with a higher order purpose or not? And there are others who just go out there and do it as well and get that experimentation going. And what Kolb would say is that learning occurs when we close the loop. So we'll have a primary preference for how we learn, and there'll be a secondary preference, and I think there's a little learning style inventory there for you to take. But of course, if we're sort of always abstract reflecting, we're never actually doing it. We're never doing anything. So if that's our primary learning style, what we probably need to do is team up with somebody who's an active doer, who will go out there and experiment. And so we make a team together, and it works very well. And that's what we do when we're talking with people about their teams. Who in your team is the reflector? Who's the thinker? Who's the big picture thinker? Who's the one who gets out and experiments and sees what happens? And so surround yourself with a group of people who can formulate the best possible learning experiences, particularly when you've got a team that you can work with and take forward into a project area, for example. So all of these are items and little ways to identify individual differences that you can go forward. And I think in your unit we also look at the DISC, which I haven't put up there today, the Learning Styles Inventory, and the CLS 360 as possible ways to identify people's preferences and behavioural and learning styles. Any questions on that?
Susan, yeah, just on that, what's the reference for that diagram on the bottom?
That's the Kolb learning styles.
Learning styles, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was quite interesting. That's all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Unit 5. You can do more reading about it as well.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so this one is about our power versus empowerment. So let's face it, in an organisation there are the authority figures who have power, and then there's the employees who at times feel empowered and at times feel disempowered. So when your client comes through the door to you, you want to know, how are you feeling about work? Are you feeling that you can do what you want, you can meet your needs, you can achieve, you're feeling aligned in values with the organisation, and that you are in control to a certain degree? And those are all the things you need to ask about being empowered. If they're feeling disempowered, then it means that some of those things are lacking. And I've just put 4 up there, or 3 up there, for example, because your job as a coach is to get people back into control, because they're there because they feel spun out. They feel that they've been overchanged, changed to death, There's no control about what's happening. It's all spinning in amazingly quick circles around them. And that's, if it's affecting them at work, it's possibly affecting them at home as well, or vice versa. So if there's a myriad of things happening at home, and we haven't touched on those, you know, like kids leaving home, kids kicked out of school, partner getting ill, for example, all those things very much affect what's happening at work. So it goes without saying that the alignment of values at work is something that we look for immediately. How aligned are you with the values? Like, are the organisation's values about sustainability or wealth creation or support the individual? What are their values? And you'll quickly identify how much the employee aligns with those values. And you might ask the employee to do a little task. Go to the website, go to your intranet and find me what the organisational values are, and tell me how you align or disalign with those, and what's the cause of conflict potentially or discrepancy. When you look at the Maslow, and we bring it back here again, because you have to have your needs fulfilled at work. We know from Maslow that these two areas are filled if we have security of employment and long-term values there. We know that this is the area of the workplace where we get self-esteem, we get confidence, we feel achieving, we get friendship from workplace. Heavens, we are at work many more hours than we are during the day at home, potentially, except on the weekend. We don't get the sexual intimacy, that's at home, but we do get a level of intimacy with friends at work, you know, colleagues, and we tell our secrets to our best mate, etc. So this is where we get our bread and butter at work, and this is where we start to get innovation and achievement and fulfillment and that higher order purpose at work. So you can use this model to just go through this with the client and say, well, you know, what gives you self-esteem at work? How confident are you at work? Do you think you're achieving? In what ways? Do you have the respect of others? How is that? So you can use this model as a conversation starter. And that's why we encourage you to develop your coaching toolkit and to put these models in your coaching toolkit, so that by the time you finish the course, you've got a 40-page document that's your coaching toolkit that you can just flip through as the need arises with your coach, okay? The other important tool is McClelland's tool about where is your primary motivation? Is it for achievement? Is it for affiliation, or is it for power? If it's for achievement, then and you're not feeling achievement, what's happening? You know, are you not feeling respected? Are you not getting the opportunities at work? Are you not getting recognition for what you're doing? Is your boss taking all the recognition? If it's for affiliation, are you feeling that you're not included, you're not belonging? And how can you work with the client to try and rectify that? For example, I think there's an example in one of your workbooks about an employee who doesn't go for the Friday afternoon drinks. And the people in his work team think, oh, he's a real, you know, off-putting type of person, he's not social, whatever. Far from the truth. He's saving his money for his child's education. So there's a lot of reasons why he might not be going for drinks with the boys on a Friday afternoon. Right? Or the need for power. Now, power, of course, is not just power over, it's power to. So power to the team, power to the group, and empowerment of the individual. So you need to define that, what's happening for power. People who want power over usually go into authority positions. But even in authority positions, you don't have to power over people. Where you want to be is powering to people, empowering the individual, giving them empowerment to do things and making decisions in whatever ways they can, so that they're the responsible party, they're the accountable party, not you. And what you'll find is that your life just opens up. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a person who was in the US Army. He was a commander in the US Army and had troops going to Afghanistan and whatever. He had a 2-year stint with this team, and he started coaching his team. And it was amazing over that period of 2 years. He took them military personnel, and he did one-on-one coaching sessions with them every 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And when they had a team meeting, he sat them around in a circle, all of these army blokes, sitting in a circle chatting and having a conversation, and he changed the culture within 2 years. And then he had to move on. And they still now, 3 years down the track, communicate with him and tell him how they're doing it with their people in their teams. And that's how you can get a coaching culture starting in an organisation, simply by modelling it and role-playing it, and by just being consistent about your intention to help and develop people. That's all it takes. Any questions?
All good.
Okay, moving on. and I realise we're going to be going over time here, performance at work. So this is a major area when you get into performance at work. A lot of people, managers, still work on that command and control. It doesn't work very well, never worked and never will. They work on targets and getting targets, and we all need targets individually and for the team and for the organisation, and that's fine. Sometimes they just need practice. They've got the skills and they just need the opportunity to put them into practice so they can succeed and feel great motivation. And then off they go off to the next goal. What I want to talk to you about is this model here, which is the AMO model. So it's about, okay, we've got someone who's motivated and they've got the ability and they've got the opportunity. When you get those three things happening in concert, you can get the results and the employee can get the results. So let's have a look at that model in greater detail. So the ability is their declarative knowledge, what they know about things, their facts, the principles, the goals, their self-knowledge. But there's also the procedural knowledge. How do we actually go about doing this? So you've got the cognitive know-how, you've got the psychomotor know-how, you've got the physical know-how, the self-management and interpersonal skill. That's their ability. So it's not just am I smart or am I good at this? It's about all of those things wrapped into one. Do I now have the knowledge and do I know how to use the knowledge, basically? Then we've got the motivation, which is about I have a choice. I can perform or not perform. I could be part of it or not part of it. What effort am I going to put into? Is it worth the effort? Maybe I will. And then are we going to persist? How much effort I'm going to continue to give? So really that's what motivation is made up of, those three factors. So talk to their client about these sorts of things. And then oftentimes they've got the ability and the motivation, but they haven't ever had the opportunity. It's like this previous slide that I gave you here before. They haven't had the practice. They haven't had the opportunity to get out there and show that they can be successful and then get motivated again. So talk to the client about what sort of opportunity may be possible and have they actually approached their manager to see, to say, I'm interested in a opportunity to sit in another position or to go offshore or to go to another. So as much as it is the employer not giving them the opportunity, maybe it's them not speaking up and being assertive about what they would like. So what we have in organisations is this typology where you've got ability, low and high, I can do it. You've got the motivation, low and high, I will do it. And here you've got the marginal performers with adequate ability. They can't handle high pressure, weak in some performance areas, but capable of improvement. So you would work with those people if they're willing to work with you. You have the chronic underachievers who may be misrepresented in terms of their ability when they first recruited. They may carry an intellectual and emotional weakness that you can work with. And some of them may have actually been promoted beyond their level of competence. These would be the suspect ones that I would have in terms of low ability and low motivation, that I would say, if you can't actually get some wins straight away, I wouldn't continue beyond 1 or 2 or 3 sessions with them, because you're not going to get much out of that, that coaching session, and it's going to impact on your ability to coach other people. The solid citizens are the people you want to work with. They possess valued technical or managerial know-how related to an established business operation. So they could be finance, they could be customer service. They help ensure that the organisation can deliver what it promises. They're good, solid achievers. You know they've got potentially more, or they want to have a higher level of purpose for themselves and feel more motivated. And of course, the stars are quite capable, highly respected. They're the ones who probably will be nominated by their managers for coaching because they are succession talent management creatures, basically. And they're very, very favourable to an organisation. So you don't have to worry about stars. The organisation will put them forward to you. And they probably won't come to you as an individual unless they're really looking to get the next step. So, for example, some people who get into a role on a 3-year stint, let's say, as soon as they get into the role, they're planning their next role. So you might get some of those who are very high achievers. So I'd work with the solid citizens and I'd work with the marginal performers because they're the ones that you'll get most traction from. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so a couple of scenarios very quickly before we finish off. So here's a client who's underperforming. Her boss has warned her that she needs to shape up or her position in the organisation will be reviewed. But lo and behold, she's absolutely devastated because she thought she was doing a good job. This is the first time that she's heard of any problems and she needs help. What does she do? Where would you start as a coach? Anybody?
Ask her what she thinks she's doing well at.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good point. Start with the strengths. Absolutely. What else would you do?
Suzanne, I think part of it is whether she's engaged you or the manager's engaged you, because if the manager's engaged you, you've got an opportunity to get some feedback from the manager one removed, or the manager about what their perception is.
Let's imagine that it's not in an organisational setting. They just come to you as a coach.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's your first? So we've mentioned about, looking at her strengths. What else would you do?
Just ask her if she has a clear understanding of her role, responsibility and expectations.
Yeah, sure. So what is she exposed to be doing in the organisation? Yeah. What else would you find out about the situation?
Also, if you find out if there's any other extensions of life that are clouding her ability at work.
Absolutely. So any personal issues that might be affecting her performance at work? What else would you find out about?
I think something that stood out to me is about how it says that she's absolutely devastated. So I might just speak to her about that first. I can't remember what the exact model is called, but it's the one where you adjust your perception on the situation. So I guess I'd just sort of reassure her it's okay, this is something that we're going to work on together to handle, just to kind of reduce that level of emotion initially, so that she can be open to listen.
Good point. It comes back to Unit 1, I think, Amy, you'll find, right back at the beginning. It's about how pervasive is it, how long does it last, and how many areas of your life does it affect? Was that the one you were thinking of?
No, but that's a good one too. No, you actually showed it at the beginning of the slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember.
So. Okay, so let me just take those three questions. How pervasive is this event?
Yeah.
Does it affect every part of her life? Well, at the moment it's just work, but she might go home and cry on the shoulder of her partner. And how long is it going to last, and how long has it been lasting? There's one question here where you need to find out something about. What else?
I think there might be an opportunity to look back and get her to look back around what other feedback she might have received.
Well, has she received any feedback?
Yeah.
Right? So the thing is that this is the first time she's heard about it. So
she's not getting supported. She's not well supported at work.
No, she's not. And if this is the first time she's heard the bad performance, then exactly what is the bad performance? What is she being, held to account for that she's not aware of? So as a coach, what would be one of the things that you would encourage her to do?
Encourage her to get some feedback from her manager.
Absolutely. So that's probably the first step. Once you, as Amy said, tone her down from that level of devastation to a level where she's rational and can start thinking about it and put it in perspective with the rest of her life, it's like, hey, your family life is fine, your social life is fine, your health and fitness is fine, and this is a setback, okay? How can we cope with this as a setback, as part of your life? Because remember, there's other aspects to life as well. And then once she becomes rational and logical and we can think it through, exactly what is this feedback? What areas of your performance do you think you're not living up to? And how would you go about finding it? Okay?
It's possible she has actually had the feedback, but she hasn't heard it.
It could be that too. Okay. So from the point of this scenario, I'll just move on quickly. But so the couple of things: settle her down with her emotions, and secondly, then find out the facts of it, because there's no good moving forward if she doesn't have the know-how to know what to act on and what not to act on. And once she gets the know-how, then what's the degree between what she's doing now and what's expected of her, and how can you help? Or how can she go to the manager and get help about filling the gap? Yeah? Okay. All right, let's look at the second one. Here we've got this young, smart man. He's a client. He's been passed over for promotion for the third time. He wants to know what he can do to advance in the organisation. So he's a coaching for development, okay, as opposed to the previous one, which was coaching for performance. He has a young family with another one on the way. He needs to earn more to maintain his family's lifestyle. So where would you start coaching with this young man?
Well, sort of find out again, has he had any supervision? Can he, go and ask his managers for feedback as to, why it is they've overlooked him yet again, so he can know what to work with.
Great, yeah. So getting that external feedback, for in this case, it's feedback from his applications, isn't it?
And also, I dare to ask also, why do you think? Just put the question back and just say, why do you think this is actually happening? What are your thoughts on this, first of all?
Okay. So one thing I would suggest is don't ask a why question, ask a what or a how. Because why can lead to all sorts of excuses and blame and justification. So ask a powerful question. What is it that you think has been the reason behind? What has been the reason?
It's been the reason.
And how do you think that has come about? So try and use your what and your how questions.
Yeah.
And keep asking the NLP stuff. And what else? And what else? And what else? Okay. And so you'll get insight from the client, and then you'll also get what the client thinks the next step might need to be.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that one?
I was thinking of what you talked about earlier about the AMO. So maybe trying to pinpoint whether it's ability, motivation or opportunity issue.
Absolutely. Particularly when he's applying for a position, he might not have the ability for it or the background or the experience.
Yeah, that's right. See if maybe there's a mismatch. So maybe he thinks that he's able and he thinks I'm doing the right thing, but maybe he's lacking something there.
Absolutely.
Or it sounds like he's motivated.
Yeah.
So it's either the A or the O.
So this is the reason for having a bunch of tools in your kit bag that you can approach as necessary, because you're going to get all of these scenarios coming through your coaching door potentially, particularly if you're in a community setting, you're in a corporate setting, you won't get quite so many. You'll probably get more the performance and development, but you'll certainly get career progression, right? You'll get this for sure. So think about that and how you can manage those sorts of conversations with your clients that come to you. I'm just aware of the time, so I think we're going to move on. Sorry about that. Any other questions or comments before we keep going?
All good.
All good. Okay. All right. So the last slide I want to leave you with is this is what you want to aim for with your clients. You want to aim for being authentic, being the true you. Okay. So that they are aligned with their values, aligned with their beliefs. They have love and respect in the environment in which they work, that they have targets and that they check them off and they're responsible and they're accountable, and that they are meeting their needs in that work environment or in the social and community environment around them. And let's face it, we can't always meet all your needs in a work environment, but within their family, within their community, their social networks, etc., that they actually start to have those relationships with others. And if they just turn up to work to get their paycheck and they're out of there at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, that's okay, as long as they're happy and they're getting their life fulfilled in other ways. It's not for us to, tell them how to live their lives. It's for us to ask the questions to get them greater happiness, greater authenticity in their life, and greater meaning and purpose and intention in their life. So that's, any comments on that?
No.
You all concur with that, hopefully. So thank you very much for attending tonight, and I look forward to speaking with you again in another month on the 30th of July at 7 o'clock. I think we're still into daylight saving, so we're all on the same time. And certainly if you have any questions or queries about anything in the units or anything that we've said tonight, email us at education@professionalcoachtraining.com.au or give us a call on the 1300 number, and we'll get back to you and answer your questions, or if you have any concerns or having trouble getting started or understanding something. So thank you all, and good night to each one of you. Sweet dreams, and we'll see you in a month's time, if not talk to you before. Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.